I'm Tanya Curry. This is the Acumen Media Report. Look back in anger? Definitely, maybe. Maybe you don't really want to know how the South African story goes. Maybe you're the same as me and we see things they never see. Definitely, maybe. Welcome to the weekly Acumen Media Report. I'm Tanya Curry and I've been climbing the wonder wall of news and social media without a harness. My journey ended with Ramaphosa's Q&A, which was pointless. Julius Malema asked Cupcake where the 1 million houses were that he promised to build in Alexandra back in 2018.
President, it is leadership to admit when you have made a mistake. You can't come here and say you never promised the people of Alexandra 1 million houses. You said so. You said you are going to build 1 million houses for the people of Alexandra.
The Prez had to confess that 1 million houses would not fit into Alex and that this figure was quoted with the whole of South Africa in mind.
To the extent, Honorable Malema, that it created this impression that I said 1 million houses for Alexandra, which objectively would not be possible anyway, because we just don't have the land there to build the 1 million houses.
He went on to tell us that 250,000 houses were built across the country. We all know this is nonsense. Regardless, he never said they built a single house in Alex in the 6 years where the crowd in Alex rose up to push the DA out of the election race. Those people in Alex were played. Our president is no rock and roll star. This is not an oasis, it's a desert, and we may very well look back in anger. I want to cheer you up, so I'm going to start with Nigeria's Miss Universe pageant. Nigeria's Miss Universe pageant is abbreviated MUN. It's a national beauty pageant to select a Miss Universe delegate, so to call it Miss Universe is probably inaccurate, but we'll roll with it. You'll remember we're having a bit of a spat with our fellow Africans because Chidima sneaked into our exit doors of the Miss SA pageant when she actually wasn't even born in South Africa. Nigeria welcomed their Princess Chidima home, and she's now competing in the MUN. In the background, we had South African-born Dricus du Plessis smash Nigerian-born Adesanya in the UFC ring, and to add insult to injury, South Africans and Nigerians were making fake bookings through Bolt, leaving many drivers with unpaid fares. This xenophobic banter continued as South Africans tuned into Miss Universe Nigeria, MUN, and we were not disappointed. Firstly, pageantry is not Nigeria's best talent. There was no ramp, and a set of ladies from different regions in Nigeria wore their home clothes with sashes and sashayed up to the camera, where they were prompted by the choreographer with the words, "Stop, attitude, walk off."
Attitude, walk off. Attitude, walk off.
In amongst these beauties is a contestant representing Kwara, Nigeria. Her name is Dania. She's a plus-size chick. She's super cutesies, and it was fun and refreshing to see a larger woman stop in, give it attitude, and walking off. SA fell in love with her, and we put our money where our mouths are. We voted for her. We pushed her right to the top of the contest. She's in the top 3 with Chidima, and Miss Kwara rolled with it. She thanked South Africa and said she may even move to Mzansi. That was cool and funny. Snap back to politics in SA. I read the news, so you don't have to. MK party members were finally sworn in. I must admit my heart sank as I saw Brian Molefe, Lucky Montana, Siyabonga Gama, Papa Penny, and Jimmy Manye take the oath of office, accompanied by impeached ex-Judge Hlophe. Let's take a minute to inspect this lineup. Brian is the oak that headed up Eskom and was caught taking ching from the Guptas. He said he was at the Saxonwold Shebeen and then started crying when we told him there was no Shebeen in Saxonwold. His right hand, Papa Penny, was also on the list. This oak looks like a bloated Michael Jackson version who taste has dated very, very badly. Lucky Montana, he's the guy who bought the trains that were too big for our tracks, the guy that single-handedly bankrupted PRASA, and next on the mic, Siyabonga Gama, who looted Transnet. Every single one of these new MPs are implicated in Zondo's state capture inquiry. each one of them heavily laden with corruption and fraud allegations that would stand like an abandoned house, the gaping wound on a barren landscape. Yet here we are, despite the step-aside rule that dictates that if you have in any way been implicated in a case that is in court or will have to go to court, you may categorically not serve as an MP. Yet here we are. While these gangsters were taking an oath on the Bible to serve South Africa, their leader, Jacob Zuma, was in court fighting the arms deal corruption charges. The case is led by Dali, use all your words, Mpofu, and our court system is subject to further delay tactics as the case is postponed until September 11th. Is that a sign? While this was playing out, newly elected MK organiser Floyd Shivambu was giving it stick outside Pietermaritzburg's courts to a crowd in newly printed T-shirts. He said that the leaders making their way to Parliament are the best that this country has ever seen.
All the people in South Africa to come and join this otherwise excellent team of black revolutionary and progressive forces who are constituted under the party Umkhonto weSizwe. It's the most progressive party. Let us go on to reclaim our country, to govern it towards future prosperity. I'm fine.
Another language?
I'm fine. I'll struggle.
He tried to rile up the crowd, but let's be fair, he's no Julius Malema, so the champagne supernova was more like a shooting star on a cloudy night. Side note, on the subject of shooting stars, did you see that comet across J-Bay? Is it a sign? Back to MK Focus Query. We had Sarah's head roll across the floor to the MK party. Colleen Makubela exited the South African Rainbow Alliance and joined the gang of bandits. We watched in horror as this party also won a ward in the Northwest. Guys, what is going on? These criminals are everywhere. I switched sides because I could not suffer what was unfolding in front of my eyes. Tshwane Mayor and DA member, Celias Brink, was on every channel. He told us how Mashaba's Action SA, the ANC and the EFF had ganged up against him and were bringing a motion of no confidence against him. He was begging for mercy and Helen was seething.
No notice of this, no formal writing, no clear indication that that was going to be the case, but we can only accept that given what has happened, given the statements made by Herman Mashaba and others, given the fact that our repeated attempts to meet with the leadership of Action SA has been rebuffed, that this is in fact the situation. It is deeply disappointing. I regard it as a betrayal of our coalition and of the residents of Tshwane.
She said that this move was a bullet to the head for democracy. Zilla, the DA's morning glory, what's the story? Last week I told you that Dada Moreira was going to replace Gwamanda as the Joburg mayor. Well, he did. And in his first national address, he said he would open recruitment for SAP's positions to documented foreigners. This went down like a wonder wall. The next thing, Johannesburg was filled with South Africans with their CVs in their hands marching on the mayor's office. They filled up boxes with their credentials, and we all know not one of them will get the job. He retracted his stupid statement for what it's worth. We just look back in anger at what we heard him say. All the roads that lead us, they're a winding.
Upon further reflection, I have come to the conclusion that my suggestion was not consistent with the policies of the ANC and policies of government. I therefore unconditionally withdraw my proposal and apologize for the anxiety it might have caused to the residents of Johannesburg and the people of South Africa as a whole.
And what was Jumping John doing this time? The leader of the opposition hired a right-hand man who is far more far-right than you can ever imagine. Roman Kavanagh, a notorious racist that has no shame and can be heard on various podcasts spewing hate, has been positioned as Steenhuisen's chief of staff. John didn't let him walk on by. Ignoring the social media community who are trying to tear down the facade, our guy John went and hired him. And as for load shedding, we're told it's over. And then we saw the price tag. Eskom wants a 44% increase in tariffs to keep the lights on. We also have another name for load shedding. It's called load reduction. And as I write this piece, there is no power in Sodwana. Our load reduction, yes, it has a schedule. Yes, there is a schedule. The schedule says it'll be up in about half an hour. I have a serious question. Do they think we are dumb? Or do they just not care? So let me understand this correctly. You want to put up the tariffs by 44% on my bill, and what you're doing in return is changing the branding from load shedding to load reduction. Did I understand that right? Take me to the place where you go where nobody knows if it's night or day. All the lights that lead us there are blinding. It's a blur. Our president has one of his very own in the firing line. Thembi Simelane, our current Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, has been pointed out as yet another villain in the VBS bank robbery. It is claimed that she nicked 575k out of a 24 million kickback. This was when she was the Polokwane mayor. Do you see why these mayoral posts are so popular? Dollar Couch Cyril, our uncle in the furniture business, has asked for a full report. To what end, Cyril? All the roads that lead us there are winding. And then there was a story so horrific, a murder of a woman who was caught thieving from a pigsty. The farmer shot her and left her for the pigs to feast on. This disgusting story broke this week and it makes me feel sick. How bad is it that one would have to grovel in pig swill to get something to eat and then get shot for doing so? Where is the humanity? This is absolute insanity. Look back in anger. In other local news, Eoban will play for the Bokke this weekend. There was a massive fire in Jeppystown. We learnt that the suspect in the Devney murder was also accused of rape 4 years ago. Why did a girl have to die for us to stop this guy? Senzo trial turns on and Twala has been labelled as the guy with the gun, but the story still doesn't add up as the ballistics experts fight about how many rounds were fired and by whom.
My colleague has confirmed that that firearm belongs to Chico Twala.
We're unlikely to see the end of this case. What we did see was Kelly Khumalo tearing chunks out of Sem Air because she was late for her flight. Brat.
This is what we need to do. Shit service from Chem Air. We miss our flight when we are there. It's not on screens. They don't even bother to even send SMSs so that we don't get to miss our flight. This is what we are dealing with. South Africa must never ever support this shitty airline.
And not in the cool sense of the word. To wrap up in SA, it's cold and wet out there as the weather looks back in anger, pelting across South Africa, screaming winds and snow on Table Mountain. All not very spring day-ish, is it? Keep warm and help another human because lately we felt the pain in the morning rain that soaks us to the bone. We need some time in the sunshine of empathy. Across the waters, the Telegram CEO got arrested. Kennedy backs Trump. He did this just after an explosive interview where he called out Big Pharma.
But they also are, out to destroy things that are actually shown to be good for you, that do not make profits for the pharmaceutical companies. But then
we see things they'll never see. Legendary football coach Sven-Goran Eriksson passed away. England is mourning for its football king.
I hope you will remember me as a positive guy trying to do everything he could do. Don't be sorry. Smile. Thank you for everything. Coaches, players, the crowds, been fantastic. Take care of yourself and take care of your life and live it.
I'll leave you on a happy note, a note filled with courage and determination. The Paralympics are playing out on our screens. South Africa is back on the world stage and we won't disappoint. Not in the games and not against the All Blacks. That's it. That's what I've got except this. Oasis rock and roll stars Noel and Liam Gallagher are reuniting after a feud that lasted decades. No, I'm not going. But man, I wish I was there because maybe I just want to fly, want to live, don't want to die. Maybe I just want to breathe. Maybe I just don't believe. We see things they'll never see. Even though they're pompous, arrogant, cantankerous gits. I'd love to see that reunion. Oasis will live forever. I'm Tonya Curry and thank you for scratching the wonder wall of SA Socials with me and Acumen Media.